They say you're too intense, too emotional, that you care way too much. But here's the thing, they never say it when they actually need you. It's only when you reach out to them that suddenly you're too much. People love your calm when they're falling apart. They love your silence when everything around them is noise. They lean on your support right up until it's no longer convenient to do so. And then, just like that, you're too emotional, too demanding, to whatever they want to pin on you. So what do? You start shrinking. You start doubting yourself. Maybe you are too much. Maybe you care too much. Maybe you're the problem. But deep down, you know something's off. You're not clingy or committed. You're not needy or present. You don't crave attention. You crave real connection. So why does your love always leave you drained? Because we live in a world obsessed with the surface. People want the light you give, but they run away from the shadow that makes it real. And that leaves you standing there, questioning, am I just hard to love? But what if you're not broken? What if, just like Carl Jung discovered, your energy isn't the problem, it's the mirror? See, you reflect what others are desperately trying to avoid: their fears, their shame, their emptiness. And instead of dealing with those parts themselves, they take from you until there's nothing left. Today, we're going to dive into that hidden truth about emotional parasites, why your energy attracts users, and how Carl Jung's work can help you protect your light without dimming it. If you've ever felt invisible in a room, but when you speak or move, you light everything up, stick around. This video might just explain why you feel so misunderstood. Carl Jung wasn't just about studying the mind. He was fascinated by the invisible stuff to feelings we can't quite explain. Like how someone walks into a room and the air shifts, how silence can say more than words ever could, and how energy, not logic, often runs our relationships. He called it psychic energy, not in some mystical way, but as a psychological force that drives everything we do: our attention, our emotions, our instincts. It's the invisible fuel behind our thoughts, decisions, and connections. Every word you say, every feeling you share, every moment you listen without interrupting it, takes energy. And here's the catch. Most people don't even notice what they're giving away, but some do. They see your energy, not your soul. They notice your calm and consume it. They spot your kindness and milk it for all it's worth. Jung believed this energy isn't infinite. It's sacred and precious. When you pour it into people who only take, you start to hollow out slowly, quietly, until you forget what it feels like to be full. This is how it starts. They praise you for being understanding. They lean on you when life gets tough, but teased. But as soon as they're strong again, they disappear. No explanation, no apology, like your value vanished the moment they no longer need you. That's not love. It's not friendship. It's consumption. Now, why are certain people addicted to your presence? Why do emotional vampires disguise themselves as lovers or friends? And most importantly, how do you reclaim your energy before it breaks you? Because here's the brutal truth. People might not love you. They love what you do for them. They love how you heal them. But if you don't protect your energy, you'll spend your whole life fixing others and quietly falling apart yourself. Some people don't ask how you're doing until they need something. They call only when their world is collapsing. They vent, cry, unload, and then vanish. No thank you, no check-in. Just silence until the next crisis. Jung didn't call these people energy vampires, but he understood them better than anyone. He called it psychic projection, when someone unconsciously casts their inner chaos onto you, expecting you to carry what they refuse to face. According to Jungian psychology, everyone has a shadow, a dark side filled with all the emotions, fears, and needs they try to ignore. And instead of confronting their shadow, many people outsource it. Who do they latch onto? The empathetic, the deeply attuned, the ones who feel everything you. They come to you because you're safe, but they don't treat you like a person. They treat you like a sponge. And over time, the signs are subtle but real. You feel exhausted after talking to them. You feel guilty for setting boundaries. You feel responsible for their pain. This isn't friendship, it's emotional, leeching. But here's the thing, it rarely starts that way. At first, they admire you. They call you wise. They say you're amazing at listening. They pour out all their trauma in the first few conversations and make you feel important, needed. Slowly though, the dynamic shifts. They lose interest in how you feel. They dismiss your emotions. They make you feel selfish for needing space. And if you pull away, they guilt trip you. This is classic shadow projection. They aren't in love with you, they're in love with how you make them feel, safe, seen, whole. But that kind of love isn't sustainable because they're not actually healing. They're outsourcing, they refuse to light their own inner fire, so they steal yours. And when you finally stop giving, they say you've changed, they call you cold. Then they move on to someone else to drain, and the cycle continues. This isn't always conscious or malicious. Often it's unconscious, but it's still damaging because it leaves you emotionally bankrupt, confused, and doubting your worth. Jung said true connection only happens between two people who face their own shadow and done their inner work. But energy vampires avoid that journey. Instead, they surround themselves with people who reflect their light back so they don't have to go inward. So here's the truth. You're not too intense. You're just resonating at a level they haven't reached yet. And instead of rising up, they pull you down. But once you see this pattern, you can stop it. You can stop confusing emotional labor with love. You can stop trying to heal people who aren't willing to heal themselves. You can say no without feeling guilty. You can protect your energy without apologizing, because your light is precious. And it's not your job to burn yourself out just to keep others warm. You keep attracting the same kinds of people. The ones who take more than they give. The ones who drain you, ghost you, and then come back like nothing happened. Only when they need something. Maybe you've asked yourself, why me? Why do I keep ending up in these one-sided relationships? You're empathetic, emotionally intelligent. You listen more than you talk. You try to be kind and understanding, even when it's hard. And still, you attract users, takers, emotional parasites. Carl Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This isn't fate. It's a pattern that's been running quietly in the background for years. When you were young, maybe your value was tied to what you did, not who you were. Maybe a parent was emotionally unavailable, so you got hyper-aware of others' moods. You learned to read the room, manage chaos, and shrink yourself to avoid conflict. You became the fixer, the peacemaker, the emotional sponge. You gave love, hoping it would be returned. You listened, hoping someone would ask how you feel. You poured out energy, hoping someone would pour it back in, but they never did. And over time, your nervous system confused overgiving with safety. To be loved, you had to earn it. To be seen, you had to become invisible. That's how unconscious patterns form. And even now, as an adult, wiser and more self-pity, those early imprints are still running in the background. You're attracted to people who need you. You ignore people who actually see you, because being needed feels familiar, even if it's exhausting. But here's the trap. When you give from a place of lack, you attract people who feed on that emptiness, not because you're weak, but because you never learned that love doesn't require sacrifice. Jung believed that what we repress ends up ruling us. If you were taught to silence your needs, your voice, your anger, you'll attract people who take advantage of your silence. You become the healer who never gets healed, the lover who never gets loved back, the giver who's always empty, and worst of all, you blame yourself. But here, you are not broken. You're just stuck in a loop. Your inner child thinks is love, but it's not. Love doesn't drain you. It doesn't keep score. It doesn't disappear when you finally ask for something back. So how do you break free? It starts by making the unconscious conscious, noticing the pattern. Who are you drawn to? Why? What behaviors do you tolerate that drain you? When did you learn that love had to be earned? Then you choose differently. You stop proving your worth by giving more. You start receiving without guilt. You set boundaries not as walls, but as sacred filters. Because the truth is, you don't have to bleed to be seen. You don't have to shrink to be safe. You don't have to give everything to be loved. You just have to stop attracting from a place of lack and start embodying the love you never got. When you've always been the helper, it's easy to confuse your value with what you can do for others. Think about it. Maybe you grew up in a family where love felt conditional, where you had to be good, quiet, or useful to earn a place. This early conditioning sets the stage for the patterns you live today. You become the fixer, the emotional sponge who absorbs other people's chaos while ignoring your own. You pour out your energy hoping someone will notice your pain, hoping someone will ask if you're okay. But the truth, they rarely do. Why? Because they love your function, not your feelings. You're the calm in their storm, the person who makes everything okay for everyone else. But inside, you're bankrupt, emotionally exhausted, starving for connection that feels real, not transactional. This dissonance eats away at you. You start wondering if you're too much, too sensitive, too emotional, too everything. And in trying to protect yourself, you shrink. You hide bits of yourself to avoid being labeled too much again. But what if that's backward? What if the problem isn't you, but the way other people see you? What if you're not too much, just too real for those who aren't ready to meet you there? Carl Jung called this the shadow, the parts of ourselves we hide or reject because they're uncomfortable or unacceptable in the outside world. When you bury your true self to fit in, you fragment your soul, and you attract people who most need you to keep that mask on. Those are the same people who take without giving, who drain your energy and leave you empty. They're not villains, they're just stuck, projecting their own shadows onto you so they don't have to face their inner chaos. Now, here's where it gets powerful. You're not responsible for their shadow. You can't heal what they refuse to see, but you can relearn how to protect your energy without numbing yourself or burying your needs. It starts with awareness, recognizing the pattern. Notice who shows up only when they need something. Notice how you feel after spending time with them. Exhausted, drained, guilty for setting limits. Those are signs you're giving energy away without getting anything real in return. Next, you reclaim your boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls that push people away, they're filters that protect your soul's space. Saying no is a revolutionary act of self-love. It's telling yourself, my energy matters, my peace matters. And when you say no, here's the irony: some people leave because they only wanted your availability, not your presence. And that's okay. Healing means letting go of those who use you as a crutch. It means valuing yourself enough to stop overextending. Because when you protect your energy, you create space for people who truly see you, not just your function, but your essence. This is what Jung called individuation, the journey of becoming whole. Not perfect, but authentic. Integrating your shadow, embracing your true self beyond the mask. It takes courage to stop performing, to show up with all your cracks and shadows. But it's the path to freedom. The freedom to be loved for who you are, not what you do. And here's the beautiful truth. When you stop chasing love by giving away your energy, love finds you on its own terms. The kind of love that doesn't drain you, but fills you. That honors your boundaries and celebrates your whole self. This journey isn't easy. It means facing loneliness. It means losing people who only wanted what you could give them. But it also means meeting the people who've been waiting for the real you all along. So take a deep breath. Begin to say no without guilt. Reclaim your space. Your energy is sacred, and it deserves protection. You are not too much. You are enough just as you are. You know that feeling when you're always there for everyone else, but when you need support, the room suddenly feels empty. It's a painful paradox. You give so much, yet feel invisible. You show up, you listen, you care, but your own needs disappear into the background. This isn't because you're unlovable, far from it. The problem is deeper. You've been conditioned to hide parts of yourself that others find uncomfortable or inconvenient. Carl Jung called this hiding place the shadow, the parts of you you reject or suppress because they don't fit the acceptable mold. Think about it. When you're too much, too emotional, too sensitive, too intense, you're actually showing the parts that others fear or deny in themselves. Your intensity becomes a mirror they don't want to look into. And instead of embracing your authentic self, you're asked to tone it down, to dim your fire so they feel safe. But here's the thing, dim your fire, and you dim your light. You shrink into a version of yourself built for survival, not for living. You wear the mask of calm, the role of reliable friend, the helper who never complains, until you lose sight of who you really are. Jung believed that true healing starts with embracing your shadow, bringing those hidden parts into the light, instead of burying them deeper. Shadow work isn't about fixing what's wrong with you. It's about reclaiming your wholeness, owning all your feelings, your anger, your vulnerability, because the parts you hide are exactly where your strength hides. So, what does this mean for your relationships? It means the people who truly deserve your love and energy are the ones who welcome all of you, light and shadow, fire and calm, intensity and quiet. They don't demand you shrink or perform. They don't drain you. They replenish you. But before those people can enter your life, you have to create space for them. That space is created by setting boundaries. It's about saying no without apology, saying I need rest without guilt, saying I won't be the emotional trash can anymore without fear of rejection. Boundaries aren't walls meant to keep people out. They are sacred lines that protect your energy and invite respect. When you allow yourself to rest, you're telling the world you matter, your peace matters, and it's okay if some people walk away because of that. Because those who walk away were never there for you. Not really. Jung called this process individuation, becoming the whole person you were always meant to be, free from the need for external approval or validation. It's about living a life where your light isn't borrowed or stolen, but belongs to you fully. It might feel lonely at first. After all, stepping into your true self can mean some people leave, and that's heartbreaking. But you'll also find new people, the kind who see you clearly and love you fiercely without demands or conditions. So what does individuation look like in practice? It means getting honest with yourself about your needs, your limits, your feelings, even the messy ones. It means practicing self-compassion. When it feels easier to blame yourself, it means recognizing when a relationship is draining instead of nourishing, and having the courage to step back. It means cultivating solitude, that sacred space where you remember who you are beneath all the roles. Jung said, solitude is the school of the soul, and in that solitude, you learn to hear your inner voice again, to reconnect with your joy, your desires, your boundaries. The more you reconnect with yourself, the less you look outside for the validation you already hold inside. And when you live from that place whole, authentic, and guarded by sacred boundaries, the energy vampires don't stand a chance, because they feed on what you're willing to give away without resistance. When you refuse to be drained, they lose their power. That's the quiet revolution you're starting. No longer sacrificing your soul to fix others. No longer confusing availability with worth. No longer shrinking to fit into a world that fears. Your glow. You are not broken. You are whole, even in your messiness, your intensity, your depth. Your energy is a gift, not a liability, and the people who truly deserve your light will never ask you to dim it. Let's talk about something crucial that often gets overlooked: the weight of emotional exhaustion and how it slowly chips away at your sense of self. When you give too much of your energy to others who only take, it's like a slow leak in your emotional reservoir. You don't notice the drip at first, but over time it empties you out until one day you wake up and realize you have nothing left to give. Carl Jung described this phenomenon as the consequence of repressing your own needs and emotions in favor of maintaining the persona, the mask you wear to be accepted and loved. When you hide your true feelings to keep the peace or to be the good one, what you're really doing is sacrificing your authentic self. It's a survival tactic, yes, but it's also a disconnection from who you truly are. And here's the kicker: the more you wear that mask, the more invisible your real self becomes, not just to others, but to you. You start questioning yourself, wondering if your exhaustion means you're doing something wrong, if you're the problem for wanting more, for needing rest, for craving genuine connection. But the truth is, wanting those things doesn't make you too much. It makes you human. Jung believed that true healing begins when we dare to bring the hidden parts of ourselves, the shadow, into the light. This doesn't mean exposing every secret to the world, but rather acknowledging and embracing those parts within yourself. Your anger, your grief, your fears, they are all pieces of your whole self. When you integrate them, your energy no longer leaks out unconsciously. Instead, it becomes a source of power. This is the slow but profound work of individuation, whole by uniting your conscious and unconscious selves. Now, let's get practical. What does this journey look like day to day? First, start by checking in with yourself regularly. How are you feeling beyond the surface? Are you tired, angry, lonely? These aren't weaknesses, they're signals from your inner world asking for attention. Next, practice saying no. This simple word is your sacred tool of self-care. Saying no doesn't make you selfish, it makes you whole. It's a boundary that says, I honor my limits and my worth. And notice how people respond. Those who respect your no are the ones who truly respect you. Those who push back, guilt trip, or disappear, they were never there for your wholehearted self. But setting boundaries isn't always easy. It can bring up fears of rejection, loneliness, or shame, old wounds from your past conditioning. That's why compassion is key. Be gentle with yourself. Every time you honor your boundary, you're rewiring the old pattern that said you have to be everything for everyone to be loved. Alongside boundaries, cultivate solitude, not as loneliness, but as a sacred space to reconnect with your soul. When you're alone with your feelings, without distraction, you begin to hear your true voice again. Jung called solitude the school of the soul because it's where the deepest learning happens. In solitude, you can shed the persona and meet your authentic self. You can nurture your hidden parts and find peace with your imperfections. And as you do this, something magical happens. You become magnetic not because you're trying harder, but because you're truly yourself. Your energy shifts from availability to presence. Availability says, take me whenever you want. Presence says, I'm here, fully whole and aware, and I choose whom to let near. This shift repels energy drainers and attracts genuine connections. Here's the irony. Many of the people who once relied on your constant availability may pull away when you start protecting yourself, but the ones who are meant to be in your life will step forward. They'll see your boundaries and appreciate your strength because they're also on their path of healing and self-awareness. You don't have to carry their shadows for them. Remember, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Your energy is finite and sacred, and protecting it is not just self-love, it's self-preservation. Before we wrap up this part, let's reflect on one more thing. Why do you keep attracting these energy vampires in the first place? Jung's work suggests that we often attract what we unconsciously tolerate or resonate with. If you grew up learning that love has to be earned by giving, overgiving becomes your default mode of connection. It feels familiar, even if it's draining. Breaking this cycle means doing the uncomfortable work of unlearning old beliefs about love and worthiness. It means witnessing your patterns without judgment. It means choosing to show up differently. Even if it means feeling awkward or lonely at first, you might still want to help. That's beautiful. But help that doesn't come at the cost of your own well-being is true generosity. Help that comes from a place of fullness, not emptiness, nourishes everyone involved. Jung's teachings remind us that self-awareness is the key to freedom. When you see your patterns, you can change them. When you know your energy is precious, you guard it fiercely. So take this moment as a turning point, not to fix yourself, but to free yourself, to stop shrinking to fit others' expectations, to stop sacrificing your light to keep their shadows comfortable. You are not broken. You are whole even if you don't feel it yet, and that wholeness is your shield and your guide. We've explored a lot so far: how your energy is precious, how emotional vampires feed on what you give without reciprocation, and how Carl Jung's psychology helps us understand these patterns. Now, let's bring it home with some insights and practical wisdom that can truly transform how you relate to yourself and others. One of the biggest revelations from Jung's work is that the journey to protect your energy isn't about building walls or becoming cold. It's about becoming whole, authentic, and aligned. When you embrace all parts of yourself, even the shadows that feel uncomfortable, you reclaim your power and create an energy field that invites the right people in and naturally repels those who drain you. Imagine your energy as a garden. When you constantly give without tending to yourself, it's like planting seeds but never watering or nourishing the soil. The garden withers. But when you cultivate it with boundaries, self-love, and awareness, it flourishes. The right visitors come to admire its beauty, while pests stay away. So, how do you cultivate this garden? First, practice self-awareness. Pay attention to when and with whom you feel drained versus uplifted. Which relationships demand more than they give? Which ones nourish and celebrate your full self? This clarity helps you decide where to invest your precious energy. Second, embrace your shadow. Stop fighting the parts of you that have been labeled too much. Your intensity, your emotions, your depth, they are all gifts. They are signs of a rich internal life and a capacity to connect deeply. When you own your whole self, you stop hiding and stop shrinking. Third, get comfortable with saying no and mean it. Saying no isn't rejection, it's protection. It's preserving your well-being, so you can show up as the fullest version of yourself when you do say yes. Remember, every no you say to protect yourself makes space for a more meaningful yes elsewhere. Fourth, cultivate solitude and self-compassion. Spend time alone with your thoughts and feelings. Journaling, meditating, walking in nature. These practices reconnect you to your inner voice and replenish your energy. Be gentle with yourself on this journey. Healing isn't linear, and it takes time. And fifth, recognize that healing is a process, not a switch you flip. You'll meet new people, and some old patterns might sneak back in. That's okay. Each time you reclaim your boundaries and your energy, you grow stronger. Each time you choose yourself over exhaustion, you rewrite your inner narrative from too much to just right. Remember what Jung said about fate and the unconscious. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. You are no longer at the mercy of invisible patterns or conditioned beliefs. You have the power to change your story. So this is a call to action for you. Stop confusing love with sacrifice. Stop shrinking so others don't feel intimidated by your light. Stop giving away your energy as currency for connection. Start protecting your sacred energy like the precious resource it is. Start loving yourself enough to say no. Start embracing your full, perfect, beautiful self, because the true magic of connection starts not when you give endlessly, but when you give authentically, when your love is whole and your boundaries are strong. And that is the love you deserve. The love that doesn't leave you drained, invisible, or questioning your worth. The love that celebrates your intensity and honors your space. You've come this far. You understand the pattern. Now you have the tools and the wisdom to break free, to heal, to be seen, to be loved for all that you are. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for taking this journey with me. If this video has touched you or opened something inside, remember to take that energy back and protect it fiercely. Your light is not a burden, it's a beacon. Keep shining, keep setting boundaries, keep being unapologetically you, because the world needs your full, vibrant energy more than ever.